Namaste, Rupa Miss. It's a pleasure to have you. Thank you for
Namaste.
accepting our invitation and agreeing to come and interact with us today. Uh, Rupa Miss, I'm sure when I was a working mother, I always carried that guilt, and I'm sure a lot of other working parents always carry that guilt. So, what is your take on that? And as a specialist as well as an educationist?
Thank you, Geetanjali, and thank you, Mrs. Mathur. It's very difficult for me to call you Swapna Lekha because I never address my parents with their name. I always call them as so-and-so's mother or so-and-so's father. Throughout the meeting, if I just call you Aditi's mummy, I think that would be better for me because it's very comfortable. Geetanjali, the first thing is that is guilt a wrong feeling? No, it is not. When somebody feels guilty about something, it means that there is still sensitivity left in you. There is still feelings and emotions left in you, and that is very important. Guilt is an emotion, and this emotion, everybody undergoes it. This man or a woman undergoes this because very often we think mothers feel guilty, fathers don't feel guilty. Women feel guilty, but men don't feel guilty. I know that men also feel guilty. I've had so many parents, male parents coming and talking to me about this. So yes, when you feel guilty, it's good. It's a good emotion. But there are two types of guilt. What is guilt actually? Guilt is an emotion. And emotions are not from the head, it is from the heart. So you are a heart person. Okay? Anger, frustration, happiness, sadness, everything comes from the heart. Guilt is a natural emotion. So if somebody is feeling guilty or has felt guilty, it's absolutely okay. It's absolutely all right. That means you have the right kind of emotion still left in you. All right. Now, there are two types of guilt that you feel. One, generally, is that if you understand guilt properly, it means that it is an emotion that you feel when something has gone wrong against your expectations. That is one type of guilt. Second type of guilt is somebody else's expectation you haven't fulfilled, then you're feeling guilty. That is also one type of guilt. The first guilt is normal, you can deal with it. The second guilt is the negative guilt. That is very difficult to deal with. Okay? If you ask me a little later, I'll explain about this. Now, how do you overcome guilt? Do you want to overcome guilt? Yes, if you want to overcome this guilty feeling, you don't sit with this guilty feeling all your life. You're not going to say, oh, I'm feeling guilty, I'm feeling sorry. You are wallowing in self-pity and you get depressed. It affects your physical and mental health. You are not helping yourself by wallowing in self-pity and getting depressed. That goes into a medical terminology. All right. Now, for this guilt, is there any remedy? Can I take a tablet and I'll be all right? No, it isn't. It is related to your heart. It is an emotion. So you can't take a tablet and feel happy about it. I'm not talking about narcotics or drugs because that's a different kind of a feeling. But this, now, there are people who say, okay, if you want to feel relaxed, do yoga. Will yoga help? It will help you relax, but it will not help you overcome your guilt because this is an emotion that you have to work yourself out of. So how you deal with your emotions is how you understand yourself. So if we understand what guilt is all about first, and then we go to the next step of how to deal with guilt. So guilt is a normal emotion. None of us should feel very bad because we felt guilty at some point of time in our life. All right. We deal with it. We overcome it. We find ways to overcome it. So I will deal with that a little later. So initially, the fact is we understand what guilt is all about. Guilt is something that you have set standards for yourself and you didn't face those expectations, or you didn't reach those expectations. You didn't achieve what you expected to achieve. So you're feeling guilty. That is a normal guilt. That is a positive guilt. You can overcome it. But if you're feeling guilty for somebody else's emotions, somebody else's doings, or somebody else's expectations, that is a little difficult to deal with. That you'll have to work things out.
Thank you, Rupa Miss, for answering that. So as a parent, I would also always feel, because I would spend most of my time at work, and of course spending a lot of time to travel also. So giving time to a child, probably if somebody is not telling me that, this is my expectations of from you as a mother or from your child, when you also look at your child and you look at the other children, and at some point of time you might just go ahead and start questioning myself, am I doing that right thing? So what I feel is, even parents, working parents, they are not in a position, or they don't know how to optimize time for their child. So what do you think can be done in that particular situation? What is the best thing to optimize the time for the child?
You are talking about two different aspects. Aspect number one, guilt. Aspect number two is how to utilize my time or give time. So these are two different things. Now, first, let us deal with only guilt. How do I overcome this guilt and how do I do this? Now, as I said, when you are talking about guilt, the first thing that you have to do is you have to have a very good understanding of your own self. All right? You need to be a clear person in your heart. I have set a standard. Okay, I have done so much. I have to achieve this much. Nobody told you you have to do that. You have done it for yourself, right? Now, when you do that, there are few people who can help you. Number one, your own self. Your own self, you can help your own self. Number one. Number two, you should have people around you. You have those people who are supporting you, helping you, maybe friends, maybe family, maybe relatives. These people should be very cooperative and understanding. Okay, so the first aspect is guilt, which you can overcome by talking, by discussing, by talking to yourself and talking to your child. See, expressing emotions is something very often we don't do in our households. I'm very happy, I'm not very happy today. So there is no harm in coming back from your office and telling your child, I had a very bad day today. Even if your child is a 2 or a 3-year-old, your child will listen to you with rapt attention because your child wants to know how your day has been. So the moment you start exchanging and you tell your child, I had a very bad day. First, I reached my office late. 2, my umbrella didn't open. It was raining so heavily, I got wet. I didn't know what to do. In my office, they are not so considerate like your school. In your school, your teacher helps you, by giving you something. But it hasn't happened with me in my office. So I had a very bad day, I'm feeling terrible today. Do you think you can help me in some way? Automatically, there is communication between the parent and the child. The rapport is established. I'd like to go back to how I had overcome this. We don't communicate much in our houses because our parents, our father and mother, know what is right for us. Okay, this was in the early 70s and 80s because parents are always right, whatever it is. Even now, I don't say parents are wrong, but to a large extent, we don't discuss things with children. So for me, expressing myself or communicating was very difficult. When I started working, I'm so fortunate to get into a school where everybody is so in sync with each other. Our principal at that time, who's our managing director now, my mentor and the vice principal previously they treated us like friends, people whom you can speak with. All right. So I had 2 children. They were very young. I got married very early. And my husband is a doctor and he never had time. He always was in his clinic morning and evening. And my mother-in-law couldn't manage both the children. And Vashi was just an upcoming city in those days. And she said that, I can't manage your children. I think you should sit at home. But I was enjoying my work. I was very happy in the kindergarten. I'm still very happy with my kindergarten section. Not that I'm happy with the school. I'm very happy with my school. But this is where I wanted to be always, with my small little children. And I was feeling so low. I was feeling guilty because I couldn't give time to them. And my mother-in-law would keep calling me every now and then and saying, I can't manage them. Why don't you do something? You quit the job. I spoke with my husband. My husband said, you know what? I don't think you should quit your job. You should be in the school because mom doesn't know anything about, working and understanding and all those things. After a few years, what are you going to do? So I went to school, and that day, fortunately, father was there in the school, and I spoke to father and Vijaya Miss, our vice principal at that time. And I explained to them saying that, I can't work. I think I'll quit. I can't continue. This was in 1993, 94. So I said, I can't work. I think I'll have to quit. So father just listened to me and he said, what does your husband say? He said, he asked me not to quit. And he said there and that's the topic. And Vijaya Miss told me, she said, why don't you take your children out? Talk with them. I said, they are in first standard and senior KG and first standard and second standard. What are they going to do? She said, no, I think you should talk with them. Take them out, give them an ice cream or something and talk with them. So the new dosa joint had started in Navi Mumbai in those days. So I took them there. They were mighty thrilled seeing the new varieties of dosas. And I said, what? I believe you people are troubling Granny a lot. So I think I don't think I can work anymore. I have to be with you in the house. They stopped eating for a minute and they said, are we the problem? I said, no, it's not like that. But, it's difficult for Granny to manage. They said, don't worry, we will manage. My daughter was in first standard. My son was in senior KG. They said, we will manage. You don't worry. We won't trouble her anymore. You don't quit. To this date, I'll never forget this incident because at that time, I didn't know we could share our feelings with our children. And it's so natural, isn't it? So I stopped feeling guilty and I realized, and the best part about our school is we have a lot of introductory speech talks by so many people from different varied fields who come and talk about this, and invariably they talk about emotions, feelings, interaction, communication, which is so essential. You work out of your guilt. You don't feel guilty anymore. And believe me, after that till today, I have never felt guilty ever. Never felt guilty about the type of work. It's because we generally don't tend to share our emotions. We think, what do these little ones understand, So when we share, they learn to share. Number one. Number two, they understand what it is to be a parent because they are looking at us and they are learning from us. And very often we use in our Indian terminology, My children are settled. When they get married, we always say, oh, our children are settled. They are working, they're settled. Children never settle. Nobody settles. That is not settling down. That's a wrong terminology. We never cease to be parents. We are parents all the time. And for small little things, even today, I look up to my mother. I look up to Father Almeida. I look up to Vijayamis. I look up to my colleagues. They may be younger than me, but I see them, how they're handling so many things together. It is all about learning. It is all about working with your inner self. How many of us here in this forum talk to ourselves? Do we talk with ourselves? We don't. We rarely do. Because with the little time that we get, we think either we will take a nap or we'll go through our mobile. It's a common thing. I'm not blaming it. I'm not complaining about it, but I'm saying it as a natural process. When we read, we become aware. We know how to heal ourselves internally. So there is no need to feel guilty about it. You need to speak, because earlier on, when I started working, handful of parents were working mothers. Working mothers in the sense people who would go out of the house. All the mothers are working mothers. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about mothers who are going out and working. And in a place like Mumbai, you travel great distances. You travel great distances. And then you learn to understand that I need to. Now comes the second point that you asked for. How do I manage my time? How do I manage my time? What is time management? It's the time that you want to give with your children, to your children. So when you learn to do these things, automatically, working mothers, you have goals, not only in your house, but even in your office, you have targets. You have to achieve certain things. You have to do it, even if it is small, at a smaller level, but there are targets and you have to fulfill those. Okay. So because you have chosen this for yourself, you have chosen to be a woman of substance. So we need to talk with ourselves and overcome this guilt that, oh God, I'm not giving sufficient time. Something else, Geetanjali, very often, sometimes when teachers are quitting or leaving their jobs or retiring, they very often say, all these years I have given to the institution, now I'd like to give time to my family. What do you mean by that? What do you mean by that? All these days you didn't give time to your family? Now, the next question is, does your husband also feel the same? Meaning, does he also feel he has given sufficient time to his office? Now he's going to give time to the family. This is our way of life now. In very many houses, unless both the family members work, you're not going to survive in a place like Mumbai. So then you have to learn to manage your time. By this, I mean, you learn to communicate with your spouse, discuss things and say, we are all in it together. We chose to bring this little child into the world. We wanted to give the best, not monetarily, not substance-wise, but to make this individual into a caring human being. Money, everybody will earn. A caring human being is very difficult to nurture. And that happens only when there is a good understanding between the family members, be it husband, wife, mother-in-law, father-in-law, sister-in-law, whoever is there living together. So we need to work towards this together as a whole, not as a single person.
Very, very beautifully beautifully shared, Rupa Miss. I think communicating with your child, having that confidence, I think it's one the biggest thing that I've learned today. If there are any participants who wish to ask questions, they can keep putting in the chat box, and we'll ask from Rupa Miss. Ma'am, you were talking about that guilt. Some of the
Mm.
fathers also have carry the guilt, but they don't express it openly. Should
Yes.
they follow the same thing like you were suggesting, talking to your inner self and
Yes.
communicating with the child, and something else as well?
Yes, it is. It is natural for everybody. See, emotions see, it's a beautiful thing, whether it is anger, whatever it is. This is only possible by human beings. Animals can have only one emotion, hunger and anger. Whereas human beings have multitude of emotions. So many complex emotions, isn't it? So whether it's a man or a woman, it is the same. I said it in the beginning. Whether it's a man or a woman, it is the same. And now I'm very happy to see that so many fathers are getting involved in their upbringing of their children. They come to school, they inquire about it, not as a formality, but to find out how is my child doing? Is he talking, communicating well with the others? Are they getting involved with the others? So that shows the level of understanding by that particular parent. I'm not saying all of them are doing it, but yes, the number has increased now. The number of people who can talk with each other. And also another important aspect, when you don't have anybody to share it with, there is no harm going to a counselor. There is nothing wrong. Very few parents, when we suggest to them that why don't you meet this counselor, they said, "Hum pagal nahi hai. Hamare ghar mein koi pagal nahi hai." It's not pagal. It is good to go and communicate with a counselor because they know how they can get the emotions out of you. Because when you share emotions, when you give a place for them to share their emotions, a lot of things change. There is peace inside. When there is peace inside, your ability to think, reason becomes much better. And what happens when you're guilty? What happens when you're guilty is that you are so much down mentally that you are not able to get out of the situation and see it like an outsider. You step out of the situation. When you move out of the situation for once, then you are able to understand that this is the situation, I need to tackle it. So when there is guilt, things that you have to do. First, if you think you have done something wrong, please apologize. It's very important, even if it is a small child. I'd like to quote one very lovely incident that happened in our house. These families give you jewelry, small little jewelry when the child is born and things like that. So my mother had gifted my daughter a pair of jhumkas, the small ones, the baby jhumkas. So, South Indians like jhumkas and all that stuff. So that small jhumkas. It was lying in the cupboard. So one day I said, why? It's just lying. Why don't I wear it one day? So my mom was around at that time. And she told me that, yeah, you wear it. What? She's too small now. She can't wear it any which ways. So I wore it to school and I went in the morning. In the afternoon, my daughter's school she was in the primary section, must have been in third or fourth standard, even maybe, third or fourth standard. I came back from school, picked her up to drop her in school. She was so miffed with me that day. She said, "You wore my jhumkas? Did you ask my permission?" My mother lost it. She said, "What do you mean she should ask your permission? It is what I have given." I realized she's going to go into school and she is not going to be nice the whole day. I said, "I'm very sorry." She said, "You're saying sorry after I asked you. You didn't say sorry before that." Are you really feeling sorry? Think about it. I don't know whether she's here now. If she's here, she may not remember this incident. But I went back to school. I remember it was a Wednesday or a Friday, because there was a planning meeting after that. By the time I reached home, she was pretty annoyed. She didn't go down to play. And my mother said, "What's wrong with you? What is happening?" She said, she wore my earrings. And when I asked her, "Why did you wear my earrings?" she said, "I liked it, I wore it." But she did not say, "I am sorry, I should have asked you." I said, "Yes, I didn't realize that the little one also has feelings." And she was so expressive about it. Had she not mentioned it, I would never have, but she would have stayed put with it, But it would have worked the other way, feeling, why did my mother do this and things like that. But I'm glad she expressed it. So little ones, when we give them an opportunity to express, that's why we say independent of thought. Think independently. We give them an opportunity to think independently. When we are doing that, we are empowering our children. We are empowering our children to deal with emotions later on in life, and which is so important, which is very, very important. So apologize. If you are wrong, there is nothing wrong in apologizing. Next, amend the situation. Show the other person that you're really sorry for what has happened and correct. Third, don't do that again. Change your behavior in case it has affected somebody else. Your behavior has affected somebody else. That's why you're feeling guilty, because it is wrong. So amend. So first, feel sorry, bad, rectify it, apologize. 2, amend your behavior. 3, don't repeat that again. Not with that person, not with anybody else. The second kind of, I told you, bad negative emotion, that is negative guilt, is, say for instance, somebody has passed away, or somebody has, in the family, somebody is not there and you were not there at that time and you're feeling guilty about it. Oh no, I didn't speak to this person. If I would have spoken to this person, if I would have taken this action, maybe he would have survived. No, don't go into that. That emotion is not right, because you'll never come out of that. You'll never come out of that emotion. Recently, I had a parent who lost her husband because he wasn't well. She lost him. And she met me and she said, "What will I do? I'm not very educated. I'm feeling terribly sorry for myself. I'm feeling miserable. I did not study in an English medium. I'm having issues," and things like that. I allowed her to talk because it's good for her to talk. And once she calmed down, I said, "Okay, fine. Let us rectify the situation. Let us see what we can do about this." And then I told her, first, stop this. You are feeling guilty for something for which you are not responsible. Your husband died. We are sorry for that. We understand that. We understand that your circumstances are not very good now. Your situation is not very good now. But by feeling guilty and bad about this, you're not solving the problem. Don't get into this. This guilty feeling is wrong. And when you are doing this all the time, your children are watching this and they are going to be dealing with the emotions exactly like this a little later on in some other given situation. So before this talk began, I saw your children, your children's role models. Your children are watching you all the time. So dealing with emotions is also something where children are observing, understanding, accepting, and implementing. So when your child sees or your children see how you deal with emotions and with situations related to those emotions, your children are learning all the time. You are going to be depressed, sad. Oh no, this is not what I want to be. I wanted to be a good mother, but you know what? I'm not able to give time to my child. Somewhere or the other, your children are going to feel that. And children are going to later on turn around and say, I don't want to be like my mother, or I don't want to be like my father. So dealing with emotions, both by men and by women, is the same. Right now, it may not be the same, but it has to be the same. Expressing emotions in the family is very important. When you do that, children automatically learn to express.
That was really very, very beautiful. Expressing your emotions is very important, and especially if you have to apologize, even go ahead and apologizing to a child is very critical. Ma'am, it does happen that sometimes when we don't give time to our child, or let's say we have to travel also, we try and compensate that through materialistic gifts. Okay, or we end up doing helicopter parenting. What would be your advice to such parents who just want to compensate and then try and overdo something else which is not, that may not be appropriate at that for that point of time?
When we want to deal with such emotions, very often we use teachers or family members as somebody who's like a Hitler or somebody of that sort, in the sense that we demonize them. We tell them, agar aap barabar baithoge nahi na, wo auntie gussa karegi aapko. Why should that auntie do gussa? Why should she do it for you? Okay. So when you are dealing with these kind of things, first and the foremost thing, both the man and the woman of the house, husband and wife, should have the same targets, same rules for discipline. Rules for discipline is the same. This is disciplining the child, all right? This is coming to the discipline part of the child. When you're disciplining a child, both the man and the woman, that is the mother and the father, you should be on the same page for everything. If talking in the dining table is not right, when the mother says it is not right, father should also feel the same. Father should not say, "Aaj mummy nahi hai, chalo hum log baat karenge dining table pe." No, that's wrong. "Aaj mummy nahi hai, chalo hum log aaj ke liye na Maggi bana ke kha lenge." No, that's not right. The thing, once in a while, you make you cook Maggi and eat, that's a different issue. But I'm not talking about Maggi as in Maggi, but I'm saying what is the rules in the family for everybody should be the same. Meaning, if I say that, padhte samay pe TV nahi dekhna chahiye. Okay. And you're asking the child to study, and then you're saying, Aaj ka match very important. This cricket match is very important for me. I have to see it. See, the child is studying and there is only one room and there is only one television. You want to see the match. I agree. Very often it happens in the house that every match is very important for the male member of the house. Even if I think tomorrow if there's a gully cricket, that also is very important. I am a sports person. I am a cricket player for my college. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is that the rules that you set in the family should be the same. Mothers should not say, "Ab tum padhai karo," and take your mobile and go through it in the presence of the child. Reading, when we read a lot, when we read, all of us have to read. You can't tell the child, you read and you carry on with some other work. Child will never get into the habit of reading. All right. So what are you trying to do? When you're disciplining a child, you are setting rules. You are setting standards for the child to follow now and later on. Today. The discipline rule is only not for today. So, and when you try to compensate it by toy, today it will be a simple toy, but tomorrow it may be something else. Day after tomorrow, it may be something more. It is better instead to sit with the child and give that 15-20 minutes, 1 hour, whatever you want to give, and chat with the child. Chatting is also more than enough for the child, because children don't generally get to chat. We go on the trips, we go on trips in the school. We have 2 trips in Diwali and an international trip in the month of May. Generally, students from 6th onwards go in this November trip, October-November trip, and 5th and above go for the international trip. I remember we are all sitting with the children, eating together and all that, those kind of things. I remember once one student told me when we were in Russia, we were sitting down and we were just talking. And that once one girl told me, she said, "Miss, are you good friends with father?" I said, "What do you mean, are you good friends with father?" "No, father has this things for all of us. No, he has this workshop for all of us, 1-day workshop for all of us. Miss, why are you talking only to us? Why don't you talk to our parents also? Because every time only we have to change, our parents won't change." See, the child is so aware. The child could communicate. And I'm so happy the children are free and they are able to say these things to us. So we are thinking that our children don't know much, but believe me, even a 2-year-old or a 3-year-old knows quite a bit nowadays. They are able to communicate. They are able to tell you whatever the language may be. Communication, very important. In the family, in this age and generation, I would say only one word: communicate at home. When you communicate with your children will communicate with you all their life. They will be free to share their sorrows, their happiness, their troubles, their success, their decisions. All this they will share with you. And where is the question of guilt? We want our schools and our families to be a nurturing center where children are growing up into good Indian citizens, good human beings. All right. So the only way for this is communication. When you communicate a lot, no gift can compensate communication. Your child will tell you tomorrow, "I don't want this. I don't want this. I want your time. I don't want your gift. I don't want your toys. I want you in my life." That is very important. So tomorrow, if they have to be, you put it up very well. That's one saying that I really like, and I always use it for my parents in my workshops that I conduct for my parents, the growing up workshops. I always write there, if you have to be in your child's memories tomorrow, today you have to be in their lives. How will they communicate otherwise? They won't know. Tomorrow they'll say, "Who is this uncle who comes once in a while to the house? And who is this auntie who comes here?" So maybe a joke, but then it is true in many families, isn't it? Because we don't have time. We need to make time. We need to make time.
Very beautifully said, ma'am. Ma'am, talking about one rule to be followed in the entire house. Now, often we have also seen multiple parenting, mother and father, and then the grandparents also. So what do you think, with multiple parenting, how does it impact the child, and what is the best way of handling that in case it is adversely getting impacted?
That is the beauty of Indian society. Children grow up with grandparents. They understand the culture. They understand emotions, because grandparents tend to talk a lot with grandchildren. Most of them do. At least I am a grandmother who talks a lot with my grandchild. But there are many grandparents I know who talk a lot with their grandchildren and things like that. That is the beauty of Indian families. And when the child grows with grandparents, uncles, aunts in the house, yes, there is a tendency for them to spoil the child, because that must be the first child in the house, or they may be the youngest in the house. All right. But you know what? Children are also very smart. They know how to behave with whom. They know that, with this person, my tantrums will not work. But with this person, I can get away with it. All right. If you break this, unless the situation is very bad, at such times, I would advise you to take the help of the school. Ask the school to talk to the child, communicate with the child, make the child understand that, we have quite a few parents. Our school is open for parents to come and communicate. Parents and teachers are on the same side of the table, not on the opposite sides. So there is a good communication, a rapport with the parents. So parents come and tell us, my mother is spoiling my child. How do I deal with this? So we talk to them. Sometimes we have spoken with the grandparents. I tell them, don't say anything. Just bring the grandparent to the school. Just bring the grandparent to the school. We won't tell her that you have said something to us. We'll just casually talk and things like that. And very often in our open days, we have had grandparents attending open days. Some grandparents attend open days. So you have grandparents who are coming in and telling me, you don't know how earlier on, when I looked much younger. So they would tell me, you don't know, I will help you how to make the line. Okay. I will teach you how to put them in a straight line. I will handle the parents outside. You handle the children inside. Okay. So this is the beauty of Indian household. The culture, Indian culture is, it is all of them coming together, working together as a group. Okay. The child also learns to accept people as they are, instead of complaining. If you have a complaining mother all the time or a complaining father all the time, children will also be complaining children, because they are not happy, internally not happy. How are you going to be externally happy? All right. So I would say that for such a situation, the mother and the father should come together and talk to the family and say, these are allowed for my child, this is not allowed. Okay. In our house, nobody eats samosas. For instance, somebody says that. In our house, nobody eats samosas and vadas because it is fried. All right. But once in a while, it is okay. Once in a while, it is okay. We don't give chocolates to anybody. We don't give chocolates as gifts. Some families have this. We don't give chocolates as gifts. We give books as gifts. We give fruits as gifts. But we don't give chocolates. We don't take sweets. So families should work together for this. And it's grandparents' duty to spoil children. No? So let it be. Because I'm a grandmother. No? So let it be. But it's not that we are spoiling. If that comes to that, then we have to deal with it. Where it affects their discipline, their working in school, their behavior outside. But to a large extent, I feel grandparents' presence in the child's life or uncles and aunts' presence in the child's life makes a lot of difference. And the child, this is the first society that the child sees. And when they go out into the society, they know how to adjust, how to be compatible, how to communicate, because communication skills are well developed, because when you're a large family, there's a lot of communication going on, if there is really communication. So naturally, the child will learn to communicate, interact, adjust, work together. All these things are naturally achieved. You don't have to teach children. Nuclear families, yes, it's a little difficult, but otherwise it is not difficult at all.
Thank you so much, Miss. And actually, fortunately today, my son's both grandparents are there in this session. So next time, if I go ahead and stop them, they'll tell me, no, it's our right to spoil the child.
But it also depends on how much they are spoiling,
Rupa, Miss, we've also seen nowadays there's been a trend wherein there are single parents. While they also face similar challenge, but their challenges could be much more severe. Correct. So any advice that you would like to give to the single parent, how to handle situation or anything else?
See, number one, single parent, for what reason? If the parent has lost another, the spouse, either the man or the woman, their dealing with these emotions become very different. And if there is a single parent because of divorce and things like that, again, that becomes different. The way you deal with that becomes different. Where death is concerned, where the parent has lost the spouse and things like that, then earlier on I mentioned working with guilt. You have to come out of that guilt. You have to work with that. So children become part of the decision makers in the house. So then there is no question of guilt. Everybody is working together. But when there is a divorce and children are separating, parents are separating, now the question is, was the child given to the other parent because the court decided so? Or is it because naturally either the father or the mother refused to keep the child with them? There are both cases, there are both the sides. Sometimes I have cases where right now I'm dealing with a case where the mother does not want the child. Just to spite the husband, she comes once in a while and creates a scene and goes away. So I'm dealing with that parent because that parent is very emotionally disturbed. That gentleman is very emotionally disturbed. So I'm dealing with that person. So our advice to that person would be very different. To a large extent, schools can help parents overcome these guilt or emotions. And it all depends situational. It is very situational. When we had an incident where the father was seeing the child for the first time, but he was willing to see. He was willing to communicate. He was willing to, the best part is neither the mother nor the father should be judgmental about each other's behavior. If you're being judgmental, you tend to talk to the child. You tend to communicate this emotion to the child. Then the child starts feeling that, oh no, I am the deprived person. So at such times, you have to communicate with the child. Tell the child what the situation is as is. Do not give your opinion on the situation. When you're talking about the situation, you're going to say, this is this, this is that. Don't involve your emotions and your ideas to come into the situation. Your dad is always like this. No. This is why we could not see eye to eye, so we moved apart. Straight. Talk straight in this situation. And at such times also, to a large extent, school can help children overcome these emotions of loneliness, sadness, feeling bad that, oh, I am a single parent's child and things like that. Not required, because now there are many, many cases, divorce cases coming up. Quite a few as compared to a few years ago or many years ago. When in the early 2000s, we didn't see so many divorce cases, but now we see quite a few divorce cases. for whatever reasons. We don't have to go into that, the nitty-gritties of their family life, but we are only interested in the child and how the child is dealing with these emotions. So it is better that parents approach the school and communicate with the school, and the school can help them overcome these emotions. And this is very important.
Thank you, ma'am, for the wonderful advice. I'm sure with your experience, you would have handled thousands of parents, in fact, generation of parents. So what is your, experience handling the previous generation to the next generation?
My students have come back as parents now.
Oh, lovely.
My students have come back as parents. In a few years' time, Aditi will come back. So this is all a cycle. It's very heartening. It's very overwhelming to see your children coming back to your school or bringing their children and showing them to us and saying, look at my teacher and see my teacher, and my teacher is here, and things like that. That makes so much of a difference, isn't it? So yes, it's a very, very lovely feeling to see your children coming back to you. So I think when our children, our school children, what I'm talking about is our children is our school children. When our children come back and they are handling their children in our presence, we feel very nice, because we understand that our children have learned it right, and they are free to ask us questions in case it is required. And whatever we have taught is, taking shape in our presence when our own students bring their children to our school. So it's a very lovely feeling when you see your own kids coming back.
That is so nice. Thank you so much. I think I have many questions, but in the interest of time, I will, check with our participants in case they want to ask any questions from you. So in case there's a question, please do put up on the chat box and we'll share it with Rupa Miss.
Geetanjali, you go on. You must be asking all the questions which are on people's minds. Because people are just around listening with rapt attention.
Right. So I think a lot of time, like what happened when I was a working parent and my son was going to school, there used to be certain cases, and I used to always, I would not say admire, but I used to envy the other moms. They can give more time to the child, probably help him develop more, take the child for different classes. And while I would used to sit in the office, I would just, think about it, how do I ensure that my child knows everything from A to Z, is equally skilled, gets the comfort of everything else.
Why did you think that your child was not equally skilled?
Equally skilled, let's say, for example, I'll tell you one thing was, in the school, everybody would go for a skating classes in the evening, and I couldn't take my child. That was just one thing, because I was not there to take him over there, and we couldn't have, taken us help of a domestic help or somewhere else to go ahead and take that. So that's just an example. So it's not about skill; it's about gaining more or learning more skills.
You know what? It is a misconception that only a parent who is there at home can give enough attention to the child. This is a misconception. Taking from your example, did your child want to go to the skating class? That's another question. See, that is your opinion. Yeah. That I couldn't take my child to the skating class. But did your child want to go to the skating class? That's a different matter. Isn't it? That's totally different. Because when one good thing about working mothers and fathers, because some fathers work from home too, so let's consider them also in this picture, and I see quite a few male members here. So whether it's a working mother or a working father, when the child is made independent from the very beginning, the child learns to make decisions. The child learns to make choices, pick up from the given choices. The child is very independent. The child feels, don't pamper me, I don't like it. Don't mollycoddle me, I don't like it. There are children, parents who used to come during recess and give their children hot food. I used to feel bad about this. I would say, I never gave, because even though I come to school at about 9 o'clock, I could have easily brought so-called garam khana for your child during recess. I once did it and my son told me, don't do this, I don't like it. Don't do this. I don't want to be mama's child all the time, you following me wherever I go. I don't like this. So my daughter looks a lot like me. So people knew in the school that she's my daughter. Many people didn't know that he's my son. He doesn't look like me. So they didn't know. So even for the boys in the school, suddenly one day when they saw me in his house, apparently, he said, why is Rupamas living in your house? I said, no, Rupamas is not living in his house. He's living in Rupamas' house. So there is a difference, isn't it? So this is a guilt feeling for no reason. Children become independent. They become independent learners. They learn to manage situations. They learn to face situations and overcomes, obstacles, because they learn to be problem solvers. They solve problems themselves because you're not around all the time. They become better people, better workers than anybody else, because they have not been spoon-fed, taking him, dropping him in school, standing outside the gate, receiving him, taking him home. Not required at all. This is our opinion of being a good mother. No, that's not be. Maybe your child did not want it at all. Had you spoken to your child would have told you a different story. He would have told you, no, I didn't want this at all. Maybe now when you ask him that, he would say, I was better off. Maybe once in a while he would say, I wish you were there at home. But believe me, most children don't like it.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask one question. So, Rupa, there are people keep help in the house, and there's a working parent is there. So, if in case one has the time to choose between cooking for the child or sitting and playing with the child, I've had, for example, I would tell a mother that why are you bothering cooking so much? Spend some time with the child. No, food is very important, which is also true. Food is very important. So, how does one decide if you've got a help at home? What are the kind of things that you think are very important for parents to be with the child and spend the time with the child rather than delegating it to someone else?
See, this nowadays you have this home help. You have cooks who are marvelous with their work. You tell them the menu, you tell them what you want, they will cook it and keep it. That time is better spent with the child. That time is better, no? Unless you really are very particular or fastidious about what kind of food your child wants to eat. There is also a second part to that. You can keep the child in the kitchen, continue cooking and communicating with your child.
That's the best, I think.
Yeah, my children have done homework in the kitchen. No harm. Nothing, not an issue. Only when they wanted help. They have never taken my help for their homework or their classwork. That's a different matter. But the fact is that they can sit in the kitchen when you're working or when you're cutting vegetables. You're sitting outside chatting with them. They are doing their work. We suggest these kind of things to parents all the time. So in the school, we suggest this to the parents. Nowadays, you have home help. So there is no harm in hiring a person and saying, I want a salad, I want a sabji, and I want 3 rotis. I want 1 dal. Keep the dal there, ready for that person. That person will cook it properly and go away. What's the big deal? You don't have to be so particular. Yes, you have to keep an eye on. I know parents who measure oil and keep it there ready. because they are very particular about the type of food that they have to eat. But as the child grows up, and when the child is older, when the child is fending for himself or herself, the child is going to cook for themselves. Are they going to measure everything and do? So I would say you can do both the things. Have help if you can afford it, and continue being with your child in those few minutes or few hours, or keep the child in the kitchen if you're very particular about the type of food that you cook. You be in the kitchen with the child is with you in the kitchen if your kitchen is big enough, or you can, if the child is older, you keep peeping in and out of the room to see whether the child is doing his or her work and communicating with you. No harm.
Absolutely. I think we can go on and on. But thank you so very much. I think I've learned today a lot. Communicating with the child, not considering guilt as a negative emotion. It's part of you. It's not wrong. Just deal it with appropriately. I think that is so very wonderful.